So how do we come to terms with our identity when it's probably, we're never going to have the full truth about everything from our past? Even myself, who I knew my parents are, I don't know what they all went through and their past went through. What is our true identity?
Okay.
Even stripping down all the labels.
Yes.
What is our true identity?
Okay, so I think the identity is found when you do what you do. I watch you do this. Mm-hmm. You are a professional at stopping, looking, and listening. Mm-hmm. Most people, they move so fast through life that, as you've heard it said, they are human doings rather than human beings. You are in the moment, okay? Sure, you're doing a ton of things, but you'll take the time to go freeze your butt off in ice.
Yeah.
What's Lewis doing, man? He's in ice in some country, okay? So I think that when you stop and you look within and you just listen, the real you starts to speak to you. Because your dream and your identity has a voice. Mm-hmm. So I believe that little Timmy Storey knew I was going to be a freaking world leader, even when I felt like in that house, it's like a garage. The guy that's supposed to be my dad just took all 4 kids and left my butt at home. Inside of me, in that quiet, I did what I just said. I was stopping, I was looking within, and I was listening. And there would be a time that I would unfold as we see now.
Should we be wishing for an easier life and less unfairness and less pain? Or should we be saying, you know what? These are the things that made you who you are today.
Yes.
If you had a warm, cozy identity, family, maybe you wouldn't have been so interested in seeking wisdom and seeking answers to help other people going through that.
Yeah. I don't blame people for wishing for an easier life, but the reality is a song by the Byrds, and it's called Turn, Turn, Turn. It was big in England and then got big in America, and it's based on the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, which you've heard as you were a kid. And that is, there's a time and a season for everything, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be silent, a time to speak, a time to laugh, and a time that you'll mourn. So there's just seasons in life. So as long as I know there's a winter, there's a spring, there's a summer, there's a fall, okay? So as a person who studies spirituality, has a doctorate in world religion, I will say this to you. COVID-19 has been a winter season, but of a heck of a long winter, right? Still masked, okay? Quarantine. Guys like us who love to travel, we talked earlier, we're not moving around as much as we used to. So that's a long winter. But there's lessons to learn in the winter. There's lessons to learn in that pain. So I need to have that pain, because that pain, when I am in that winter season, okay, I can use that pain as a library. Man, pain has been my library. Watching people go through pain, seeing guys do stupid stuff, and it gets them in a lot of trouble. I'm like, don't do that stupid thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just my pain, it's the pain I've witnessed.
You mentioned about spirituality and your path of studying this for a long time.
Yeah.
How important is our spiritual health in supporting our mental health?
Yes.
Or can we be mentally and emotionally fit without spiritual fitness as well?
Yeah, excellent question. I think that from my perspective, and even studying a lot of your friends and my friends, I think it starts in the spirit. I think that it starts in the spirit, and that's why when I see you in various countries and you take great photos and you really look like you're like in a nice place, like you're in the moment. And as your buddy, I'm like, good going, because I know how busy you are. But I think that what's happening at that time is that something's happening to your soul. Your soul is being fed, and your soul is the center of your being, because out of your soul comes the goodness of your heart. Out of your soul comes forgiveness. Out of your soul comes gratitude. it comes from the soul. So if we're not fed in the soul, okay, then no matter how strong your mind is, there's going to be conflict.
Interesting.
And the Bible talks about that. It says a double-minded person is unstable in all his ways. So your mind could be like, okay, I believe it all, but your soul could just be broke down.
Huh.
So I know people that have a broke down soul because of conflict and trauma, but yet their mind is kind of strong, but they are unstable.
Sure.
There has to be an alignment here, and then you're pretty much unstoppable.
For those who might have challenges with religious context, or maybe doesn't believe in every element of the religion they're in, but they want to be spiritual.
Yes.
They want to have a connection to something greater than themselves. They want to have a connection to God or the source of the universe.
Yes.
What suggestions would you have for them, whether they're not in a religion, but they want to be connected to their soul?
Yeah, and those, I would say like 75% of my followers are not religious people. They're just like people that want to live a better life. So I think that one of the things that helps you is to go to beautiful parts of creation where we have not put concrete on it.
Go to nature.
Go to nature. Doesn't that do it for you? Okay. So whether you go to the desert or you go to the mountains or you go to the ocean, it's strange, man. Your soul just starts to be fed. So I would say to somebody, go to somewhere where there's not a lot of concrete and where the earth is breathing, and watch how soulful you feel and how fed you start to feel. Yes.
I want to shift the conversation to relationships between parents and their kids.
Yes.
I don't have kids. I have amazing parents that weren't perfect, that had a lot of challenges for me when I was growing up that I needed to overcome, and took many years to overcome that, and still I'm overcoming things. What do you think is the biggest mistake that parents make in general with raising kids? And what was the biggest mistake you think you made in your journey of being an unperfect parent like all parents are?
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I think. I think, number one, this idea of putting pressure on our kids that they have to become something by a certain age. Okay? Like, truly.
Once you leave college, you need to be this, and then by 25, you need to be this.
100%. It's the worst thing a person can do. Because at 18, really, do I have to say for sure I want to be a pharmacist?
Right. I have no idea what I would have. Just want to hang out with my friends and play video games,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Like, can I show up at Ohio State with an undeclared major?
Yeah.
And so, again, I think as parents, they always think they have to decide. Come on, you're 17. You're about to go to college. You need to decide. No, some things you discover.
Ooh, yeah.
So some things is not the decision, it's the discovery. Like some of those brilliant guys that we get to talk to, I'm telling you, it was not in the decision, it was in the discovery. Like, I'll give you a cool one, like Vidal Sassoon. So he was a really good friend of mine, and Eden, his daughter, I talk to all the time. So we're sitting on Cannon Drive in Beverly Hills just talking about life. He's Vidal Sassoon, right? You like see his name everywhere. That was not his plan, like to be Vidal Sassoon.
Sure.
And so he told me how he saw this guy and this guy inspired him and he decided to try it. So one of the biggest mistakes parents make is that they don't let their kids try something because they think, well, what if they fail? What if they fail? What if they fail? Well, then they learn something. And so, again, I think the pressure to decide now instead of the discovery is one. And another thing is this. I see a lot of parents try to make up for their life that they missed, and they lived an almost life, but that's not going to happen to little Johnny.
Ooh.
Little Kylie, she's not going to have to go through what I went through. So they overdo it.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on the kids.
So much pressure. I was on the elevator in Miami, and this lady looked at me, and she goes, hey, I recognize you. I go, well, good to see you. And we started chatting about life. And she had this little kid. And she goes, do you know my daughter knows all 50 states?
Wow.
It was just a little tiny kid. I never even asked.
Right.
And I went, whoa,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Guess what? The kid just started spitting out the states. Because that was the connection between the mother
Sure.
and the child is perform, do, right? Be advanced. So I think a lot of parents, another mistake is, like I said, they try to make up for what did not happen in their life, and they overcompensate. Not a great idea.
And what do you feel like was the thing that you did, the mistake?
Exactly what I just said.
Is that it? For your kids?
Yes, yeah. I think that number one, I'm glad I didn't name my son like Tim Storey Jr. because that would have been not so great. So my son is the type that he's an artist. He's an artist. So I would say like, okay, so do me a favor. Go over there and do those 3 things because I'm about to do an interview and I need you to help me.
Sure.
Okay. So then I look at him. He's still playing video games. Okay. He's 14.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that I didn't understand what his strengths were at that time. And what I should have looked for is his strengths were more in the creativity and let him soar with his strengths. And not like be tough on him because he didn't move at the pace that you move at or I move at.
How do we let go of these expectations as parents? I'm trying to learn.
Yes.
For my 5-year ahead self.
Yes. Okay. So an expectation, as you know, is something that we've kind of ordered and now we want it to arrive the way it arrives. Okay? So this is like very much your culture, even more than mine because I'm older than you.
Sure.
Where you just
I want it now.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
You got used to just being in your nice locations that you live in. And I want to order.
Comes to me.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, this is wild. I can't believe it's just semi-warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. They had to bring it from there into a car, right? So I think that in your culture and where you are in life, that you guys are so used to like everything like so
instant
and the immediate. And so really what I see life as now, oh, this is so good. I see life as it unfolds. Man, it unfolds. Like my son's in a beautiful place in his creativity. My daughter's in a beautiful place in her creativity. But they did challenge me as they got older, and they would say to me, Dad, could you not life coach us at least for just a couple days?
Sure.
Because I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Like I was making everything about a life coach.
You should be doing this, or why don't you try this thing, or why don't you do this, as opposed to allowing them to discover it.
100%. And in the discovery, and in the slow rollout, they have found a better rhythm for themselves. You're gonna love this. In the game of cards, as you know, if you don't like your hand, you can fold. So I see my cards, I don't like it, so I decide to fold. I feel like a lot of people that are watching right now, they have folded their dreams before they really unfolded. So they folded thinking like, this is me, I'm married, I got this many kids, this is my life, it didn't work out, I fold. This is my existence. I disagree. You're still unfolding. But I'm 42, you're still unfolding. I'm 58, I'm still unfolding. So don't fold while you're still unfolding.
Yeah, some people don't even pick up the cards and look at them. They get dealt the cards and they say, I'm too scared to even pick it up because, and so they just don't even play the hand.
Yes, but again, I don't blame the parents for wanting their children to do well, mostly if they see other children not doing well, but kind of back off a little bit. And if you feel like you've trained your children in a good way with character and morals and really to be strong children, they'll find their way. They will find...
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
So how do we as parents, I say we, like I am a parent, but how do parents learn to allow their kids to discover themselves more while also giving structure and organization, but not too much pressure?
Communication.
Okay.
So one of the things that I started doing with my kids, and it was kind of painful to me, is I would then say to them, like when they were teenagers, okay, let's talk about like, what would you like me to do different? And it shocked me that they had things
feedback.
to say.
Yeah.
Yes. Dad, I just feel like you're boom and bam and boom.
Too hard on us here and this. Yeah.
Yes. And my daughter, she's very, very smart. And she said to me one time, she goes, Dad, I just feel like you think you have to be on. You don't have to be on. I know that when you go somewhere outside this house, there's expectations. You don't need to be on for us in here. Like, that blew me away. But she was right.
Just be here. Don't be on here.
Yes, because I was so used to being on a stage so often that even when I come into the house, I'm like, it's going to be a big night. Okay. Let's watch this movie.
Yeah.
Then we're going to, yeah.
Sure. Now, you went into a spiritual,
Yes.
religious path after school, right? You went on
did,
to
yes.
study religion, spirituality,
Yeah.
and essentially be a preacher for many years.
Yeah, I became a very famous preacher.
Yes.
So, and I know you have friends that are famous ministers, and you roll with the guys from a lot of different
Yes.
religions, just like I do. But I didn't try to become a famous minister. That was wild, to be honest. So let's see how we put it. I was just out there minding my own business, and I was doing something for inner city kids. And I look in the back, there's a tall guy. It was Reggie White. Reggie White, the football player, right? You love football.
Sure.
Okay. So Reggie White was there. And Reggie White had heard from a friend of his about this guy, Tim Storey, that was speaking in these inner city schools and just amping people up, okay? So he started getting me in NFL chapels in my early 20s. So I'm in my early 20s, speaking at all these chapels, and then that exploded for me in the NFL. I was in all these teams. So that gave me a little bit of leverage.
Yeah, credibility.
Yeah. Look at it, he rolls with all these guys, right?
Sure.
And then it went from that to more and more churches started to invite me. And then the bigger guys in the space, it's almost like the space of what we have as speakers today in our world that we walk in. The big guys of the ministry world saw Tim Storey.
Sure.
And they started taking me with them. I was like the opening act.
Sure. It's great. It's awesome.
So I was the opening act. So I was speaking to 3,000, that's super young, 5,000. I had a conference of 8,000 people when I was 29 years of age. That was my conference. So I was a boy wonder, but I was still very vacant. I was vacant. Because remember it went back to identity.
Sure.
Still didn't really know who I was.
Really?
Okay. I was trying to find myself. Did I believe in the message? Yes. Did I believe in what I was speaking? Yes. But there was a real void in my life that I do not feel today.
How do we chase our dreams when we have that void? Or we don't know who we truly are still? Or we're still seeking answers? How can we fully be confident in that message, that work, whatever it is that work that we're in, that field?
I honestly think that when you feel like you're chasing, and the void is there too long, that you have to call it a necessary timeout. And because we both love sports, Phil Jackson was the master of the timeout. And here's what he said about it. He said, you don't see me calling too many timeouts because I believe that what I taught the players in practice, that they'll figure out during the game. Pretty cool, right? He said, so if you see me call a timeout, it is totally necessary. So
they're in breakdown mode. They're not figuring it out. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that there's times in your life and my life where we're playing hurt.
Yeah.
But you still have to be Lewis and I still got to be Tim. You still got to do your conference. I got to show up at a conference, right?
You got to show up even if you're 70, 80%.
100%. So we both know how to play hurt. But there are times where there needs to be a timeout. We need to come to the sideline and we need to regroup. And that's what the pandemic has done for Tim Storey. That's when I decided with my editor to talk about the situation with who is my dad for the first time, because I thought that I would just, not tell anybody for my whole life, for real. Wow. And that's where I've got so much peace in my life, so much joy. I think I'm more funny than ever. It's like, yeah. So the pandemic to me has been like a big Phil Jackson timeout. It's been a reset for me.
What is the blessing that comes from you finally talking about this, or accepting it, or acknowledging it fully, and being open to sharing it publicly? What happens inside for you, and what happens for other people when they finally do whatever that is for them?
I think the blessing of talking it out with Dr. Helen Mendez, the lady from USC, was that I could say it, and she knew I was not judging my mother, I was not judging my sisters for not telling, and my brother, that I was not judging anybody, but I had a safe place to tell the story.
Yeah.
And I think the one reason that I'm being more open about my life nowadays is because all of us feel undone. We all feel undone. I mean, here I write a book on the miracle mentality. Miracle is extraordinary, uncommon, not normal. But at the same time, I feel undone. And that's okay. I think we all have something that's slightly hanging out. There's some kind of injury in us, right? And so in telling the story, it is liberating me even more, and I think it's going to liberate a lot of people.
Oh, that's cool. I'm curious about, because I think a lot of us hold on to shames, whether they're little shames or big shames.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe this was a big shame for you, or a little shame that you were holding on to for many years.
This is a gigantic shame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, I held on to shames for many years on the sexual trauma that I went through as a kid, but then other just like little shames, throughout the years. I shouldn't have said that, or maybe that was a white lie, or was I in integrity in this moment? Holding on to these little shames. What I've realized is that when we fully own the shame, big T, little t, trauma, big S, little s shame, and we embrace it and we do talk about it, whether it doesn't have to be publicly in this format, but just with someone trusted, and we own it and we embrace it and we learn to let it go, then we can be fully ourselves. We don't have to hold on to some identity that isn't supporting us anymore.
Yeah, I think you even have a deeper revelation on that than I do. And I will tell you that I've learned from you in this by reading your book about this whole idea of, taking off the mask. And then let me just tell you an observation I have of my friend Lewis. When I went to your conference and I see you running this big conference, which I think, and I'm not joking, is the best conference because it's boutique, it's packed, there's so many creatives in it, okay? And I see you have to go from organizer, you're the organizer. And when you're organizing, there's always something going on, right?
It's always some breakdown.
But then you can turn around to a famous guest and then be the nice person. Then your attention to detail with your team, of course, of, hey, let's buy presents for these people.
Right.
And you bought really cool presents for all of the speakers. Then I'm not done yet. Then you got to go up and perform and speak like you're Lewis Howes. So so look at all the hats you're wearing. Okay. Then, you have friends and close friends and family you got to be nice to and all that. But I love that you can go from that. This is a really cool moment. So then you have a party with your DJ buddy. Okay. So then I see Lewis from college days.
Just like house party.
Yeah. So you're dancing in that. And I'm older than you. And I'm come from this ministry background in which, I was at the biggest churches in the world, 80,000 people, 20,000 people. I'm I'd walk in there oh, here he is, right? And Lewis, you grab me, you're Storey, get up here. Okay. So I get on the stage and I started dancing with you guys. I never got a chance to tell you this. Freedom came to me.
Ooh.
Such freedom. Because if the religious people were watching that move, they'd be what's he up to? because the song had a lot of F words in it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So then you at your size and your svelte body, then you stage dive, and then you come out, and then you're like, come on, you're hyping me, like you hype me, and then I go, man, you talk about freedom.
What did that feel like?
You talk about freedom. So I'm telling you, as a little brother that you are to me, thank you for having the damn guts to dig deeper than I did at your age. Because to be honest with you, I was afraid to unpeel the onions because I didn't know what I was going to find down there. Inside of me, in that quiet, I did what I just said. I was stopping, I was looking within, and I was listening. And there would be a time that I would unfold as we see now.